Hey, welcome to Whitecap Regatta Reports. Today, I'm talking to Antonia and Georgia Lewin-LaFrance. First of all, congratulations.
Thank
You
you.
must feel
Thanks.
great about qualifying right away.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so how did it feel? Can you take me back? Like, you crossed the line, you pulled up to Christoph, and then what happened?
I mean, I guess in the final moments of the race, like we knew we were getting it, and we kind of just needed to sail the last downwind, and we were both just like, stick home. I was
Yeah,
thinking to myself, like, don't fall out of the boat, don't fall out of the boat,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
and because like we had quite a good margin to the net to the boat that we needed to beat. So yeah, and then Antonia, like I think maybe like 20 meters before the finish line was like, Georgia, and I was like, just finish the race. And yeah,
yeah,
anyways, then the emotions came out big time, so it
yeah,
was a pretty special moment.
yeah.
Well, it's cool that you knew, I guess. Did you know, was it three and above that you had to get to,
We
or
had
did you know?
to, so we had to beat the Belgians, which is kind of funny because they're our training partners.
Oh, shit.
We had to beat them, and then we had to have a boat in between us and the Polish, or in between us and the Germans. Um,
We had to have a good race, honestly. We had to have a good race, and the wind was definitely a little bit funky. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, myself and many others were watching live, and I think you were winning at one point in the medal race, right?
yeah, but we kind so yeah, we were winning. We made a gain on the Germans, who was one of the boats that we might have needed to beat, but because the Polish were further back in the race, we had to conserve our lead with the Belgians, who we had to beat. So then we had to kind of let the Germans take the win and separate away from us. But it's okay.
I didn't let you finish. So the story only ended at 20 meters from the finish. So you got to tell me what happened when you actually got across.
I think immediately, kite down and go to Christoph and be like, "Is this real? Like, can you check the math? I think we've done it. We've done the math, and we think this is a thing. But can you confirm? Can you message Sail Canada? Like, tell us it's real." And yeah, and when it like we were already crying. We were crying at this point.
We were crying, and our training partners, the Finnish, who hadn't made the medal race, they came out to watch in their rib with their coach,
Oh, wow.
and they like bought a bottle of champagne and started spraying us, and we
We,
were
we didn't see them at all until when we got, winged up on the rib, and then all of a sudden there's like screaming and champagne all over us. George and I are both crying. Chris is like so
shocked.
shocked.
God.
Yeah, it
I
was.
think I saw that. I think we saw that on social media, the possibly non consensual champagne spraying.
Yeah, yeah,
So the whole last day, though, and I saw you doing an interview with each other, I guess, on 49er.org, but there was a big comeback in the second last race as well, right? And I think again, seeing it, for the first couple of legs, you weren't even on top 10, and I couldn't find you and stuff, and then something happened on the last beat, right? And you guys went left. Could you just tell me about that last race and how you were feeling and how it went down?
I mean, I think going into the last day, like the pressure was really on, and I mean, I didn't sleep very well that
Oh
night.
no.
Neither did
I
Antonio.
said that I slept really well, just
But
to like give some
yeah,
confidence, and then afterwards, like I actually didn't sleep very much
neither
at
of us
all.
had much sleep left,
We were
and
really like the Americans and the Kiwis, and I think the Brits too were just breathing down our necks for that in terms of points going into that.
but yeah, the race started. I mean, we had an okay start, but we kind of got out of phase with the wind and rounded the top mark, like a good few boats behind the Americans, who were the primary boat that we needed to beat. But the second upwind, thankfully, I think they took the less favorable gate, and so right away we started getting leverage on them, and I think like we took control a bit more of the shifts, and yeah, we went right, and I mean, in some
Left.
sense, I guess
Sorry.
we definitely got like the best shift that we could. And then we had a we came when we came back to head back towards the top mark. We had a very close cross with them, and we were trying to like be really defensive and put the bow down so that they wouldn't tack and lee bow us. And then thankfully they went behind us, and it was it was just like such a
It was a really
we're
like,
trying to stay
high,
calm, but it
yeah.
was
And then, so you must have had a similar emotional feeling when you knew that you'd made the medal race.
yeah.
Yeah. Such an emotional day. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Our goal for the event was to be top 10, so just making the medal race, I think we were both really proud of that. And it was, yeah, just a huge sense of relief that we'd held off these really good teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll have to jump into your goals because you must have had a goal also to be the top Canadian boat, right?
Yeah.
So was that beyond that 10 top 10, or was that where was that in your preparation and your mind?
Well, I mean, yeah, our goal was to be top 10 regardless of where the other Canadians placed. And actually, we tried really hard and planned to have as little comparison to them during the regatta as we could. But like, unfortunately, they didn't make the gold fleet. So already from a couple days earlier, we knew that we were in a solid position already with the trials. And then it was kind of just trying to achieve our goal of top 10.
Right. Yeah, that definitely would take the pressure off. And was it, so you were only in the fleet, like the qualifying fleet with Ali and Mariah, like once, or
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And was it a thing where you were like keeping your eyes on them, or were you just on your own goals?
Yeah, I mean, that was like, I think we successfully managed to not compare ourselves that day, which definitely helps keep the mental cool.
Yeah.
Good. So what happens logistically? What happens between your final race and the medal race? Because I know you guys go to shore. Like, what happens, and how does it feel?
Yeah. You rip back to shore, you get on the tow and go to shore as fast as possible. Get changed, and you put your boat in a special place. It's like a little quarantine zone so that the measurer can come and check things off. And you strategize. You have a second to be with your thoughts, which is dangerous at times. No,
Yeah.
it was fine, but to be, to have that all that anticipation for the first race of the day and really like staying calm for that, and to like have that emotional moment and then come back shore and completely reset and do it all over again, definitely made it the most exhausting day that I can remember for a long time.
And so, so you're top 10, so you're like, oh, that's great. We made the medal race. We're top 10. We made our goal. But then eighth has got to be in your mind too, right?
Yeah, at that point, it was like if you go into the medal race in 10th, you've basically got nothing to lose. So just guns a-blazing, trying to gain spots. And yeah, the points were close ahead of us. So it was definitely within reach.
I mean, it's crazy. And I have to say now too that, I follow the sport pretty closely. I had no idea that was a thing, that you guys could qualify at the Worlds. Like, Chris Waters texted me, he's like, that they could, if they're eighth, they can be in. I'm like, what? That's crazy. But obviously you guys knew, but I think a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird thing too. I don't know if it's because you don't want to talk about it so much with people because it's like it's a really stressful thing, but at the same time,
You don't want to jinx it either.
yeah, you really don't want to jinx it. We were always like, don't jinx it.
Right. I get it. So, I've ever since I started the podcast, this has been like the number one story on my mind. Whenever I talk to anyone, like what's going to be the biggest story? I guess now it's female kiting, but like the fact that you guys were going to have this, these two very, very close boats, and both when I had Ali Moran on and you guys, you're both like, we just want the best team to go, and we're just, that's the biggest goal for the country and so forth. But let's say this didn't happen, and let's say they were only 5 boats behind you, or you guys were tied or whatever going into Palma. Are you were you prepared? You're like breathing already.
Yeah.
Like, were you prepared? I was prepared for some kind of weird mid-fleet match race situation. Is that something that crossed your minds?
I mean, I think for the last like
It's a trick question. We were prepared for anything.
it's just
Thank you
interesting.
for not giving me a trick answer.
No. Yeah.
It's
No.
interesting because for the last, I would say at least 2 years, we've been like preparing for the trials solely. And like I mean, neither of us have really thought about the Olympics because the trials was always the thing that was like gonna allow us to then step to the Olympics. So now that the trials are over, it's like our first time actually thinking about the Olympics. And yeah, I mean, it's yeah, it was definitely a hard fight, and we've just been preparing for it
You saw
solely,
me,
basically.
yeah. You saw me take a big deep breath because I think we were always kind of prepared for
The month of stress.
that month, that really long marathon month of competing.
So the stress is off a little bit, but now it's on harder, isn't it? In some ways, like,
Yeah.
um, like you guys have had, and I don't, I'm just again as a fan, you guys have had many top 10 finishes at big regattas, worlds, Europeans, etc. So, you guys could be pushing for a medal, right? Like that's got to be in your mind. It's in my mind. I'm trying to be as light as possible because it must be really hard. And I know you're pros and you're going to give it everything you have, but that's got to be in your mind. And how do you deal with that? Do you feel as pressure? Do you feel as excitement? Like, what are the thoughts about medals at the games?
I mean, for me personally, like because my mindset has been so focused towards like the trials, I haven't really like thought about the games very much. And I mean, honestly, neither of us, we've never been to a games or a Pan Am Games or the Olympics, so it's definitely a new territory. And there's like we have to have all new goal setting and plan the next few months. So for me, it's not on my mind. It's more like, what is the Olympics? How do we approach it? Like, what can we expect?
Yeah.
Right.
I think
Go ahead.
for me, when I think about it, for some reason, like top eight seems to be some sort of benchmark for a lot of federations. So I think the amount of congratulations that we got, and people didn't realize that it was our trials that our trials had ended at that point, and then people sent us more messages because they realized that it was over. But I think, yeah, we'll have to figure out a smart way to go into the games. And right now, I don't know whether to be excited. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm emotional. I don't even know.
Yeah. Wow. Ben, my son, who's a 49er guy, he posted, like, when you guys got it, it said, like, this is the feeling we all hope we'll feel someday, you know? And it was such a nice thing. And it's true, a lot of, even myself growing up racing lasers, I hoped someday I'd sail at the Olympics. And you guys did it. So it is, even for us, even for fans, it's emotional.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's really nice of you.
So tell me about the second last day, because there was complete carnage. I mean, we saw the coverage, unbelievable, like the drone shots and everything. The drone is right above the Swedish girls when the skipper got like washed out the back.
I couldn't
And
even watch that. It was so sad.
like, you saw it or you didn't?
Yeah, I mean, I did. We skipped through it because we felt so
Okay.
bad for her.
Well, I can imagine, but she ended up so far behind the boat, like 400 meters, and then she's got to then they finished it too. Like that must be so draining. Like it's like to be able to do that. Anyway, so that happened. But tell me about your day, taking care of the wind, dealing with that day and how crazy it was.
Honestly, I think 2 years ago we would have gone into a day like that, very secure mode on the downwind, safety mode. But we did a ton of training in Belgium this year, which was just treacherous. The gnarliest conditions.
Every
And
day we'd be like getting ready to launch, and we'd be like, "Is it saleable? Like,
Yeah.
should we go out? Is it dangerous?"
And there was a military shooting practice zone sometimes to the windward of the breakwater. So it was like, you get out and bear away or be shot, Just kidding, but maybe, honestly. No.
That's great. That's
But
a
to go
great
into a
metaphor.
day like I mean, it really made it so that we're so much more confident in the breeze, like especially
In the waves.
downwind, and it didn't even feel like a gnarly day for us, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you got to take me through something that happened in front of the entire world. You're coming in fourth place. You're on port. You're finishing at the pin. And then what happened? Actually, take me from before that. So that's the third last race or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I
So you're
remember.
having a good race. Let's say you're halfway down the last leg. And then how are you feeling? What happens?
Well, I just remember the Norwegians were breathing down our neck that whole race, and they had a slight speed advantage to us. And they were just breathing down our necks, and they jibed early to then have starboard advantage coming on the finish line, which paid well to them. And you know, that port jibe was like directly into the waves, so that whole time we were kind of focused on keeping the mast up because we're having a solid race. So whatever happens, like finish third or fourth, we're happy with that. And we were getting like about to cross the finish line, and I'm like, okay, port starboard, ready to jibe, ready to jibe. And Antonia was like,
I was like
yeah,
Jack
yeah.
Sparrow at that point. Just, you
You
know,
were what? You say?
I was like Captain Jack Sparrow at that point, just so exhausted, and I just kind of moseyed on into the middle of the boat, and then we capsized.
We just like weren't ready for the jibe and kind of had to force it. So it was
Were you going to hit them? Is that what happened? Or
no, but we just hadn't prepared properly for the jibe. Like it was just stupid. And then we capsized, and I was like I was mad because I was like, we're not gonna have a break now.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
But
it was-
I was watching it with my daughter, and I was like, "Oh, that just happened in front of the entire world."
Still is chill.
It's
What
alright, okay,
happened?
we'd already
Yeah, it
finished, so-
happened.
At least you finished, yeah. So we did have a couple of listener questions. One was from your sisters in arms at the Halifax 49er scene, the LFG sailing. They said their question was, "How do you guys handle the pressure?" Breathing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like this regatta particularly was like an accumulation of like a lot of practice at other events of like not handling pressure as well, and some events handling it like sometimes we've handled it well and we've also not handled it as well. And like we just had a really solid game plan going into it that like above anything else, we would be proud of our event if we had really good teamwork. So yeah, it was just about trying to keep calm, like owning mistakes and moving on quickly. Just doing the best you can with what you're dealt. But yeah, it was definitely, that regatta was an accumulation of like a lot of experience, of good and bad.
Such a good question because I think like it's such a big topic in sport, and you know, this is like the pinnacle event for us. And it really, the pinnacle event for a trials actually rather, but I think it's like Georgia said, just having like a support system and knowing that it's okay either way because you put in all the work you could, and leaving it all out there, like that's really major. And yeah, chicken soup for the soul.
Yeah. What did you say? Owning your mistakes?
Yeah, just like owning the mistakes and move on from it. Like, don't let it eat at you, basically.
Right, right. So you're saying that like being able to lean on A, your preparation, and B, your like support system, knowing that, you know, people have unconditional love for you even if you don't make it. Those are the kind of two things that help you with pressure.
Yeah, we also had like unconditional support for each other. You know, I think I make boat handling mistakes, and you know, Georgia is more, you know, decision on board, so she can sometimes make a small tactical error, something like that, and it's okay either way. Like we really tried to do that the whole event. You know, it's okay. Super shifty wind, it's gonna happen.
We have like we try to do like a handshake to keep the mood high. So we always do it before we launch, and then also like after a bad race, we would do it to try to
Bring
like
up
get a
morale.
smile
Yeah.
before the
Can
next
you
race.
can you do it now? Can you, or is it like bad luck to do your handshake now?
No,
Is it just a regular handshake, or is it something special?
it requires quite a bit of room. We have a few, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? We'll do a miniature version. Okay, ready? Ready?
Okay.
Okay, come in a little bit closer so everyone can see.
This is so
Ready? Okay. Pose for the camera. Pose. 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 Nice. Or she'd put her foot up and I'd go like, she'd put her foot up and I go like.
So for those who are just listening, not viewing, Antonia, you were like shining her shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very
Good.
like soccer player kind of style.
20 minutes. That's it. I've covered it all. I know you guys have things to do, and like I say, I just express, how proud we are that you guys have done this, and all very excited for watching at the games. First team to definitely make it. So yeah, just congrats, guys, and enjoy some time relaxing for maybe half a day or two.
Thanks.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having us on.
All right, take care, guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.